In this session, let's take our role play further into product delivery. As a product manager, in this session, we will do backlog planning and prioritization and then go about doing release planning. We will take necessary assumptions as we go. So let's get started. Here is a snippet of our roadmap that we had planned. For chats, conversation and discussions, we had marked Q3 and Q4 2 quarters for the development work to happen. And these are the objectives that we had deciphered from our product discovery exercise. That is to aggregate the conversations across different cards and boards in a contextual manner, allow replies to updates and notifications, and then ability to tag people, task cards and boards to make the conversations contextual, and then the option to flag actionable updates and mark them as action items, to have easy search options to quickly find information from updates, conversation and discussions. And also in our product discovery exercise, we did story mapping and we identified the stories that will be part of the product backlog for product engineering. So what I've done is I have taken those stories out and I have kind of put them into 4 priorities: must have, should have, could have and won't have. In case of must have, I have put all the essential and non-negotiable stories. In the should have, I have put the other important stories which needs to be done before we make this feature generally available. Could have has some good to have requirements that is also required, but it was not explicitly stated by our customers. So if you see the must have requirements, I have put the basic infrastructure, system architecture, header integration and UI frameworks for collections feature. Then the content aggregation and context reading framework, which will help in collections listing and list curation. Then for conversations, notifications and action items, I have included the metadata framework for each of these and the listing of the same. For conversations, I have chat framework and chat details listing. Apart from that, I have included some key actions from each of these areas like mark as read, notification to conversation, action items deletion, action items marking as done, chat marking as read, tagging people, tagging task cards. Now these 2 features I've included here, and I have not included tagging boards because these 2 features are already available as part of comments functionality. In the Trello, inside the task cards, if you remember, so there is a comments section in which tagging people and tagging task cards is already available. So it would be easier for our engineers to implement. Should have has list count displays, chat context tagging boards, notification flag as action item, and the entire search epic. The entire search epic including search integration, search notifications, search conversations, search action items, listing and search results sorting. In good to have, I have put action items to conversation. This was not explicitly stated by the customer. In our problem identification also it didn't come up, but when we did further analysis, we arrived at an inference that this is also required, that you can convert your action items into conversation to collaborate further with other members, other stakeholders and get things done fast. We have nothing for the won't have. Now what I have done is I have taken some assumptions for our release planning. The assumptions that I have taken is we will be having one Scrum team working on this feature, that is approximately 7 to 9 members in a team. The average velocity will be 8 story points per sprint, that is roughly 3 stories if we consider average of 3 story points per story. Now we have assumed that our 1 quarter will have one planning sprint of 1 week, which is called as sprint 0. Then we will be having 5 development sprints with 2 weeks each and 1 Kaizenathon sprint for fixing all the bugs and defects. So based on these assumptions, what we can do is we can plan approximately 15 stories per quarter. And I have kind of arranged it like this. So in our first quarter, we have all the must-have items from the collections framework, listing, conversations, notifications, action items. So I have total 15 stories for Q3. The remaining stories are put in Q4. And action items to conversation, although it's a could have item, I have put it as a stretch and hence indicated it differently. So what we see is the entire feature set could be delivered between 2 quarters, but we should take this with a pinch of salt given that there are some stretch items involved and things can go here and there. So for that, product managers have to closely work with their engineering team, participate in daily stand-ups and do further prioritization and reprioritization. So that's about product delivery for our role play exercise. I have not included the intricacies that goes into the actual development and testing of the feature items because that's more practical and on the ground kind of a thing, and it is difficult to emulate that in our exercise with assumptions. So in interest of time, we will skip that.